Hi, I'm Margie Remmers Davis, founder and CEO of Akadian Accounting Education. And every single day, we get asked questions about the QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor certification offered through Intuit. So I decided that I would spend some time going over everything you possibly need to know about this certification. So grab a hot beverage, get comfy. It's going to take us a while, but hopefully by the end of this video, you will have everything that you need to know to make your decision about whether the certification is right for you. All right, so let's get started. So the first question that we get asked is the ProAdvisor certification worth it? Like Tiffany, who said, I tried using the free training that QuickBooks provides over a month ago, and I stopped because I was so overwhelmed and the flow of teaching just didn't work for me and my style of learning. Or Kimberly, who said, I became bogged down with tons of information and was overwhelmed. I spent many hours trying to learn and was unsure of what to do or how to move forward. Or Priscilla, who said, I'm struggling with staying focused while going through the course on QBO. It's just so boring. I cannot and do not learn that way. I'm a visual and auditory learner. I space out reading all the sections on QBO, and I have to reread many sections because I don't even understand what I've read. So if this sounds like you might be asking the same question. Is it worth it? Should I go through this relative hell to make sure that I claim that certification? And what I'm going to tell you is yes. Yes, the ProAdvisor certification is worth it. And here's why. Number one, you learn the ins and outs of QuickBooks Online. Here's why that's important. If you were just expecting to learn QuickBooks Online on the job, well, your job is not going to cover every single feature that you need to know about QuickBooks. In fact, there might be a feature of QuickBooks. If you knew that, you could actually help your client, that it could make things more efficient for your client or give better insights. And so the great thing about the ProAdvisor certification is it forces you to go through all of the material to learn all of the features so that you're at least aware that they exist and you can better serve your clients. All right, number two, it gives you bragging rights. Now, there is never going to be a client who won't hire you unless you are certified. Most clients, most businesses, they don't even know what the certification is. And accounting firms, they know that the certification is really just about the software and they're more interested in you knowing bookkeeping fundamentals, okay? But what it does is it gives you a thing that you can put in your emails, you can put on your business cards, you can put it in your social media profiles. We always recommend that your LinkedIn profile start with that you are a QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor. Why is that? Because the ProAdvisor term has a connotation that you are a person that somebody can turn to when they have a question. So if you're just going around saying, I'm a bookkeeper, I'm a bookkeeper, I'm a bookkeeper, people are only going to turn to you when they need a bookkeeper. But if you say that you are a ProAdvisor and you have a little badge, then people are more likely to reach out to you just if they have small questions or need some training or just have something that they want another set of eyes on. And that gives you an opportunity to build a relationship with these people so that when they do need to hire you as a bookkeeper, you're the first one that they think about. Okay, so it gives you bragging rights. The third thing is that you can get listed in the ProAdvisor directory. You can collect reviews and show off your stuff. Now, the ProAdvisor directory requires you to have 500 points earned in their ProAdvisor system. If you have all three certifications that Intuit offers, the level 1, level 2, and the ProAdvisor certifications, that automatically equals 500 points and you can be listed. Or you can just get your level 1 listing and have several clients who use QuickBooks Online, and that will give you a listing as well. Here's the advantage of the listing. The listing allows people to search for QuickBooks Online ProAdvisors in their area and find you in the directory. In addition, Intuit will actually advertise your business for you. Now, Intuit does have its own bookkeepers, but they have a very strict set of rules as to which types of clients they will take. So if a client does not meet their criteria, if a prospect doesn't meet their criteria, then they'll say, oh, you can search in your particular area for a ProAdvisor. Let me just show you real quick what this directory looks like. So this is the website that people can find you. They're going to put in the zip code, click find a ProAdvisor, and then here's all of the ProAdvisors in that surrounding area. So here's me. I need to update that picture. So as you can see, you can say what services you offer. You can have a little bio. You can indicate the industries that you serve. It'll automatically pull in your credentials. And then here's the most important part. You can collect reviews on your ProAdvisor profile. And the more reviews you have, the higher you'll show up in that ProAdvisor profile. So you could actually, in theory, have this just be your entire website. You could not even, set up a website. You could just collect. There's an opportunity here to send you a message, connect with you, get a consultation. Technically, you could use this for yourself. All right. So if you've decided that you want to pursue this certification for all of these great reasons, then the first thing you need is a special QuickBooks Online Accountant account. Okay. Now, this is different than the regular account that small businesses buy in very specific way, and we'll go over that in just a second. This special version of QuickBooks Online, the accountant version, is absolutely free. So let's talk about what this version is and how it's different than a regular QuickBooks Online account that a business owner would buy. All right, so here we have your QBO account. That's you as the accountant or bookkeeper, QuickBooks Online Accountant. And then you have a client who has their version of QuickBooks Online. And what they can do is they can add you as an accountant. Once they have added you as an accountant and you have accepted the invitation, you can then look into a client's books. Okay, so your QBOA allows you to, it's like a portal that you can then go into and you can work on the books for this particular client. And what's so great is you can do it for this client and another client and another client and another client. Okay, so it's a portal that allows you to connect to many different clients and work on their books. So how do you sign up for your QuickBooks Online Accountant account? Well, very simply, you're going to go to proadvisor.intuit.com. Let's do it together because there are some very specific things that you need to make sure that you do to set this up correctly. All right, so I'm just going to go to proadvisor.intuit.com. You'll notice it says here, sign up for free. And the first thing that's going to ask you for is an email address. This is critical. This is so important to get right. Okay, this email address. This email address is going to be your login to all Intuit products forever. Now, it can be changed, but it's tricky to change. And remember I said that a client is going to invite you into their books? Well, they're going to do that using the email address that you set up right here. So for this reason, you want to make sure that the email address you put here is a professional email address. Now, you don't have to have set up a business. It doesn't have to be a business address, but it shouldn't be an email address that you set up when you were in 7th grade, okay? We don't want any hotdog99@gmail.com. Okay. You want it to be something that's professional, something that's your name combined with bookkeeping, etc. Okay. You want to make sure that it is something professional that you put here. So I'm going to say my professional email 2025@gmail.com. Hopefully nobody else is using this. I'll know right away. Okay, good. All right, so then you're going to put in your name, obviously. I'm going to say Akadian student. And then, whatever password, you can see that there's requirements here for the password. All right. And then you're going to put in a phone number. Now, the phone number that you put in needs to be able to accept text messages, because these text messages are going to be how you are verifying your account. That's two-factor authentication. So you want to make sure that you don't use a landline, that you use a line that you can access the text messages for. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. All right, so the next thing that you're going to add in is your accounting firm information. Now, a lot of people freak out when they get to this spot because they're like, I don't have an accounting firm yet. What do I do? What do I do? Okay, just calm down. It's okay. This is something that can be changed easily later. Unlike your email address, where you don't want hotdog99, this is easily changeable. So put in, whatever you want right now, and then you can always change it later. This is really just for Intuit's internal, polling information. So we're going to say it is Akadian Accounting. Again, if you don't have any employees, don't worry about it. Just say one. It's to you. It's fine. And then we're going to finish. And ta-da! I now have my new QuickBooks Online Accountant account. So we can say, let's go. It's going to take me on a tour of it. You can go through the tour or you can skip it like I'm going to. Okay. All right. And once you are in your accountant account, you can tell that it's an accountant account because at the top right here, it says accountant. It wouldn't say that if it were a regular business account. It also has this little briefcase that says accountant tools. And then the left navigation bar is different as well. That's how you get your free account. Now, in order to get your ProAdvisor certification, you have to navigate to the ProAdvisor Academy. This is where you're going to get all of that free training from Intuit. Remember, the QBO account is free, training is free, the certification test is free. Okay, it's all free. You have to get to the ProAdvisor Academy, though, in order to pursue that certification. So let's see how we do that. So here I am inside of my accountant account. Again, it has to say accountant at the top. If you're in an account that is not an accountant account, you won't see this option. But as an accountant, you have an option on your left-hand navigation bar here that says ProAdvisor. And then training is where you're going to load that ProAdvisor Academy. Before I do that, though, let's just go to benefits real quick. And I'm going to hit get started. And here is where, remember I said that it takes 500 points in order to get listed in the directory. So here is where it tells you how you can earn points. Okay, so that's how you can earn your points, but also you have the certification level 1 is worth 100 points. Level 2 and payroll are worth 200 points each. So that's going to give you your 500 points, which lands you on gold. And gold is what allows you to have that ProAdvisor listing, that Pro Directory listing right there. All right, so that's all about that. Now let's go to training, and I'm going to click Start Learning. Oh, this is new. Now it's asking me to update my information. All right, that's good to go. And here I am in the ProAdvisor Academy. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention before is that everything that I am talking about today, all of the screenshots, all of the tips and tricks, all of the juicy stuff is in our free ebook called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor Academy and Certification. That's a lot of words, but it's a good book and it's got all the stuff. It's got all the things to click, where to go, how to do this. So don't freak out if you're trying to take notes while I'm talking about this. I've got you. All this nitty gritty stuff we're about to head into, it's in the ebook. So just click the link below, grab that, and you'll be golden. So once you are in the ProAdvisor Academy, you might ask yourself, what do I do? How do I get certified? Well, there are two ways to get certified. One is a test out option and one is an in-course option. Now, both of these options require you to enroll in the course. Okay, so let's take a look at how we do that. All right, so on this first page, you can see I don't have any badges earned yet. This first page is called My Hub, and this is where you're going to have the certification enrollments and the course enrollments. Now, the certifications is a certification track that it includes multiple courses that you have to take. Each track requires 5 separate courses, and when you enroll in a particular certification, you're going to automatically have those 5 courses added to your account. Okay, so let's take a look at, well, actually, first, let's go here to certifications. Here are all of the certification programs available. So Intuit does have a bookkeeping certification. This certification is not related to QuickBooks Online. It's a separate certification that covers just bookkeeping, bookkeeping fundamentals, understanding accounting principles, those kinds of things. It is not related. It's not a prerequisite to the ProAdvisor certification that we're talking about. Okay, the ProAdvisor certification that we're talking about is right here. QuickBooks Online Certification Level 1 is first. You see here that you get 100 ProAdvisor points. There is also QuickBooks Online Certification Level 2, which has 200 points. This one has a prerequisite, which is Level 1. You have to do this one first to get that certification. Also, there are specialty courses. So I can click specialty, and here is payroll. This one, again, also gets 200 ProAdvisor points. So that's what I was saying earlier. And they do have desktop and enterprise certifications as well. But again, they are not related to the QBO ProAdvisor certification that we're talking about today. So that is certifications. Then if you wanted to just take the courses individually and not like as a group as part of a particular certification, you could do that by going through all of the courses here. Now, this is a list of all of the courses in the library, and they are organized alphabetically. I wouldn't recommend using this because you don't know, like what order to take them in and where they go and all of that. But you could. Like, this is where the whole list is of all of the different courses. My history is where you're going to find your completed certifications. You do earn CPE if you are an accountant and you need to keep up your continuing professional education. Then this is where you're going to find your CPE credits, and then they have some FAQs here as well. So going back to my hub, the first thing that we have to do is we have to enroll in that certification. So I'm going to click View Certification Programs. It's the same as if I went to certifications right here. Okay, here's our certification programs, and I'm going to enroll in Level 1. Now I have added these 5 courses to my hub. These are the 5 courses that I need to take in order to get certified. If I go back to my hub, you can see here, this is the certification that I'm currently enrolled in. And then these are the 5 courses that I have to. Going back to the certification page here, you'll notice that there is a test out option. So let's talk about the test out option for Level 1. All right, first up, all of the courses have a test out option. The desktop certifications and the Intuit bookkeeper certification are only test out. But the other courses, the Level 1, Level 2, and payroll, they have another option, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Okay, so the test out option available for all courses. You have 3 attempts to pass the test. If you fail all 3 times, and failure is, by the way, less than 80%, so you have to have an 80% to pass. If you fail all 3 times, then you have to wait 30 days. They consider that a cooling off period before you can take the test again. And when you take the test again, you must complete the entire exam in one sitting. And there is a 5-hour time limit. If you do not complete the test within this limit, all of your answers will be auto-submitted and graded. If the timer hits 0, then boom, doesn't matter where you are in the test, it's going to be automatically graded. The ProAdvisor test is divided into 5 sections. Once each section is complete and submitted, you will not have an opportunity to review it. It's like it's locked. And you must agree to not use any materials outside of the ProAdvisor training to complete the exam. Once you have finished the exam, you will not receive a score. If you pass, then there'll be a celebration. Woohoo, yay, you passed. If you fail, then you will be redirected to the retake, and that retake includes all 5 sections, no matter how you did. If you aced 4 of the sections and failed one of the sections, it doesn't matter. You have to take all 5 sections again. Okay, so that is the test out option. We do not recommend it, but it is an option if you want to try it out the first time. You can switch between the two, so you can try the test out option. If you fail miserably, then you can switch to the in-course option, which is the one that we recommend. With the in-course option, you actually are going to work through the Intuit material. And then as you go through that material, you're going to complete a knowledge check to unlock the exam. There are 5 separate exams, one for each of those 5 courses, and you have to pass with at least an 80%. But the great thing is that with the in-course option, you have unlimited retakes and it is open book. So let's take a look kind of at how all of this works. Here I am in the ProAdvisor Academy. If I want to select the test out, I click that button. I click take exam. All right, once inside, you'll read the rules. You'll see all the stuff we just talked about. You'll make some agreements, and then you will start the assessment. So that is the test out option. Let's take a look at the in-course option. So I'm just going to flip this button again. So now we would go through each of them. And I'm just going to go through sales and customers. Normally, you would start with getting started, but this is kind of a small course. And so I'm just going to start with sales and customers. It'll give us a little bit more meat to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to click start. Now I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about how to navigate the course material because it is not intuitive. Despite the fact that the company is called Intuit, it is not intuitive to know how to navigate through this. Okay, so I'm going to go over this. Don't forget that ebook, because in the ebook, I have like pictures of all of these little icons and how each of them work. So don't worry about this. So you can use that if you need to. Okay, so here I am inside the ProAdvisor Academy. All right, so you need to go back to the ProAdvisor Academy for some reason. There is a back button down here, and there is a little X up at the top. They both do the same thing. They both go back to your hub. I'm going to hit continue, resume where I left off. Yes, I'm going to say it again. I want to resume where I left off. Here, this button right here will make it a full screen. Now, it's not really full screen, so if I click full screen, it does give it a little bit more space, but there is still some, stuff at the top, okay? Now, notice that when I am in full screen mode, the X is gone and there's no back button. So I can't go back to the hub. I can't go back to a different course if I am in full screen mode. So to take off full screen mode, I'm going to hit this button here. So that gets me into regular mode and I can get back. This button right here says next lesson. When I'm in regular mode and I'm hovering over it, it says next lesson. And when I go to full screen mode, it actually says the words next lesson. But this is not how you get to your next lesson. It's misleading. It's confusing. This next lesson actually takes you to the exam, and you're not ready to take the exam yet, so you don't want to use that button. Same with this button right here, which is course content. It does not really give you the course content. It just shows you, oh, there is an exam and there is course content, okay? So the button that you want to use is this little hamburger right here. It looks the same. If I exit full screen mode, it looks the same, just like this, okay? And what that does is it opens up the menu of all of the different sections of this particular course that we're in, okay? So this is how we typically navigate. And then you can hit hit the X to close that. I'm going to go in full screen mode again. Instead of using this next lesson button, or you can navigate this way, at the end of the lesson, there is a little green arrow. Okay, so that's how you're going to go to the next lesson. But as I mentioned, in order to unlock the exam, you have to answer the knowledge checks. So let's find a knowledge check so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to hit the arrow, because that was just kind of an opening introduction lesson. So here's your actual first lesson that you're going to go through. You're going to look at all of this. You're going to read all of this material and click some things to open up items and learn more about them. And they have some links to documents that you can download. You're learning all about this. Learning. Eventually, we're going to get to this section that says check your understanding. And this check your understanding is what unlocks the exam. There's multiple check your understanding sections in each of the lessons. You want to make sure that you do those, because if you don't, then you won't be able to take the exam. You'll get an error message that says you haven't unlocked the exam yet. Answering the knowledge check questions, you do not have to get the knowledge check questions correct. You only have to answer them. And once you've answered them, you can't go back and look at them again. They're grayed out. All right, so I can just say that. I didn't even read it. Okay, so that's not the correct answer. I'm going to close that. And then here we have correct C, show feedback. That's the same thing. I didn't even read the question. Which item type in the product and service list should you select for items that are bought and sold and whose quantities in hand are not tracked? So the correct answer is non-inventory. Oh, here I'd have to click show answer in order for it to show me the correct answer. All right, so you have to do the knowledge checks in order to unlock the exam. I've taught you how to navigate. So I think that's all I wanted to cover on that. All right, once you have taken and passed the exam or the exams, which are depending on whether you do the test out or the in-course, and you pass and you get the woohoo, then you'll receive your badge. The badges are managed by Credly, which is a digital verification and credentialing program. Okay, so this prevents you or anybody from just taking the random image off of Google and just claiming that they are a ProAdvisor. By having a Credly badge, when somebody clicks on it, you can go and see their history. Now, when you receive your badge, you will need to create a free Credly account that's tied to the same email address you used to sign up for QBOA in the first place. They have to be connected. Yet another reason to make sure that you set up a good email address in the beginning, because if you change it, then you would have to change it here all in Credly also. So just to show you what this looks like, here are my badges. So I can click on any of these badges, click View Badge, and it takes me to Credly, and it shows this badge was issued to Margie Remmers Davis. Here's the date that I earned it. And it tells anybody who clicks on your badge what the badge represents, what you had to have done in order to earn the badge. All right, a few more questions that people always ask us. First, how long is my certification good for? Well, certifications are seasonal, so the season in which you certify determines your recertification date. And by the way, this is only valid for the Level 1 and Level 2 certifications. The payroll certification to date not had a recertification. So we're just talking about Level 1 and Level 2 here. Now, the season runs from November 1st through October 31st, and the recertification opens sometime in April of the following year and runs through June 30th. So if you got your certification on October 1st, then the following spring, you would have to recertify. If you got your certification on December 1st, then you would have a whole year before you have to recertify. The next question is, will you have to take the entire certification test again? And the answer is no. You only have to study and test on the things that have changed since you initially took your certification. So it's a tiny training that you have to go through, and it's usually not a big deal. So how will you know that you need to recertify? Well, there's going to be lots of warning. You'll get several emails from Intuit. There will be a big banner inside of your QBO account, and you absolutely won't be able to miss it. So don't worry about that. All right, so now that we've covered the actual process of, or the test itself and all of the nitty-gritty details and the training and where to find it and all the ProAdvisor Academy and all that stuff, let's talk about some additional tips for actually finding success. Number one is practice in the stamp company. Intuit provides a fully populated QBO account so that you can test drive and get a feel for how QBO works. There are 3 test drives or 3 sample companies available. The first one is a QBO A sample company. This is an accountant version. Okay, so this looks like you are in that. Remember, we talked about that portal. So it looks like that you are in the portal viewing a client's account. Okay, so you have those accountant tools available to you. The other 2 versions are client versions. The first is QBO Plus. So this is just a subscription level in QuickBooks Online. And then, the second client version, the third sample company version is the advanced version, which is the highest subscription level, has the most features available so that you can see how all of those work. The client that you have in QBOA, by the way, the client that you're looking at is a QBO Plus client, FYI. So the only way to get to the advanced is to use that advanced sample company. Now, the sample company is a gift from Intuit, but it means that we are at their mercy. So a few things that you need to be aware of with the sample company. First is when using the QBOA version, actually it's true with all of the versions, you're going to get logged out of your account. So you can't have the sample company and your account open at the same time. This is a problem when you're taking the test, right? If you're taking the test and you're logged into your account, you can't open the sample company while you're in the test unless you know the trick of how to have that open at the same time. So be very, very careful of loading the sample company when you're taking the test. Second is the sample company is not designed to be comprehensive. So you have to be prepared for some features to be different or unavailable. Sometimes they roll new things out in the sample company, but not in the real world. Sometimes they roll things out in the real world, but not in the sample company. So you just have to be aware that this is a sample company and we can't complain about it because it's a gift from Intuit. We don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. We want to be super grateful that they provide this for us. Also, it's designed for beginners. So you saw that when I was in my account earlier, I was closing some pop-ups. You're going to see pop-ups all the time in the sample company that you're going to have to close out. And sometimes if something's not working correctly, you just have to refresh the screen. Now, the sample company refreshes when you log out or close the window. Okay, so that means that you cannot save your work. If you set up some invoices today and you go into the sample company tomorrow, those invoices aren't going to be there. If you set up some payments, now, and then you close the window and then you open it up again, they're not going to be there. Okay, so you just have to be aware, again, that your session is unique to you at the time that you are using it. Okay? All right. Tip number 2 is to take advantage of the practice exercises. So having access to the sample company is great, but how do you know what to do there? If you're brand new, you don't know what buttons to click, you don't know how to create an invoice maybe or to receive a payment. So in the ProAdvisor Academy courses, Intuit will sometimes provide practice exercises to demonstrate a particular feature. These are labeled as give it a shot. So we saw some earlier and I skipped over it because I knew I was going to talk about it now. So let's go back and look. All right, so here I am back in that training, and here we were talking about the check your understanding. Right before it, there was this section called Give It a Shot. So Give It a Shot are the hands-on practice exercises that Intuit sprinkles throughout its training. It'll tell you how to load up the sample company, and it will tell you it's always divided into these 3 sections. The challenge, which tells you what the scenario is, what you have to be doing. Then you have the review, which is how to tell that you got it right. And then the solution, which is their step-by-step of what actually to do to make that happen. Now, as I mentioned, those exercises are just scattered throughout the training. If you would like even more practice exercises, you can get them in our free Facebook group called the QBO Gym Locker Room. In the QBO Gym Locker Room, we have a growing library of over 100, I actually think it's close to 200 200 now, but I haven't counted recently. Hands-on practice exercises. So we actually guide you. The ones from Intuit, they just tell you step by step. We actually have pictures so you can see actually where to click. You can have the sample company and the exercise side by side, and you can just get tons and tons of practice using QuickBooks Online in different scenarios, all the way from beginning to advanced things that you need to know. You also get a free QBO Quick Start course to help you set up and navigate QuickBooks Online. So we've talked about the setup part today, but also in the course is how to navigate, what the terminology is, what the correct workflows are, how to do specific things. And of course, there's hands-on practice. We're not just ever at Akadian, we're never just going to tell you how to do something. We're going to actually give you the practice to be able to do it. You also get a new exercise each week. And there is a weekly live stream every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we together go through the exercise and answer any questions while you are going through it live. And everything that you see here is absolutely free. So come join us at the QBO Locker Room. The link is below so you can get started. The next tip is to set your timeout period. Now, the individual course tests are not timed. I mentioned that if you do the test out option, you have a 5-hour time limit. But if you're doing the individual course tests, there's no time limit on the test itself. But your login does have a time limit. And if that expires, you may have to start over. Let me show you how to change your time limit so at least you have the maximum amount of time. And again, don't forget that free ebook down below has instructions, so you always have it. You don't forget it. Okay. All right. Let's go back into our accountant account. Okay. So again, remember it says accountant up at the top. That's how I know I'm in my account and not a client's account. I'm going to click the gear icon, which is right here. I'm going to go to company settings. While we're on this page, let me just point out that one of the company settings is the business email. This is not where you change your email login, okay? This is the email. It starts as being the same email that you use to create your account, but changing it here will not change your login, okay? It will not change the email address that you give to clients, okay? So again, don't use hotdog99 and think that you're going to be able to just go in here and just, I can just change it. So to change the timeout, you're going to go to Advanced. You're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and notice it says, sign me out if inactive for. And right now it's just set at 1 hour. And even though it says if inactive, which makes you feel like, I would have to be away from my computer for an hour, sometimes even though you're in there clicking around, it thinks that you're not. And so it will log you out. Okay, so you want to make sure and change that. Here's how you do that. Now notice as I move my cursor, each of these sections gets highlighted. So the way that these settings work is you can either click this pencil to open up this section for editing, or I can actually click anywhere in the section. So I'm going to just click here, and then notice how it turns blue. And that means that this section is open for editing. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change this from 1 hour to 3 hours, which is the maximum. I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to click done. That's a better thing to do before you attempt to take any of the tests. All right, next, you want to make sure and manage your questions carefully. Now, we're going to talk about both the test out option and the in-course option. Let's talk about the test out option first. Okay, so when you're in the test out option, there are a number of things up at the top. So first of all, you have where it says question 1 of whatever. This particular one was question 1 of 10. This is the only place where you can tell which question number you're on. You want to make sure and watch it carefully. If you click next after the last question, it's going to just automatically submit it, okay? And you will not have a chance to review your test. So keep an eye on which question you're on so that you have a chance to go back and review your answers before you submit that last one. Next up is you can flag any questions that you're not sure of that you want to make sure and come back to. But again, if you accidentally submit that last question, you're not going to have a chance to go back and look at your flagged ones. So if you flag them, you want to make sure that you remember to go back before you get to that last question. If you do need to go back to the ones that you flagged, or if you've skipped a question and you now want to go back and answer it, you can do that using this Jump to Queues link right here. Okay, so you can jump to another question to review your work. The white box, so you can see here it says the green ones are the ones that were answered, the blue ones are the ones that are flagged, the gray ones are the ones that are skipped. Orange says unattempted. I don't know what the difference is between skipped and unattempted, because it seems like they're the same. But then we have one that's white, and it took me the longest time to figure this out. The white one is actually the question that you're on. So in this case, we're on question 1. That's why 1 is white. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's flagged or skipped or unanswered or answered, it will be white if it's the question that you're on. All right, and then as I mentioned, we have the next button. And once you have answered a question, then you're going to click next. That'll take you to the next question. But like I said before, if you're on the last question, then when you click next, it'll submit it. Okay, you will not have a chance to review it. So if you're choosing the test out option, make sure that you keep careful eye on what question number that you're on so that you can review if necessary before submitting. Hopefully I've said that strongly enough to you. You will remember not to submit. Keep an eye on it. All right. Also, when you're in the test out option, if you have a question that is a single answer only, you'll see that the letters appear in a circle. Okay. So these are the different options. They appear in the circle. That means there's only one correct answer to this question. If, however, the letters appear in a square, then that means that there are multiple answers. So there's more than one correct answer. Here's the kicker. They often don't tell you how many correct answers are. So it'll just say, select all the options you think apply. Maybe it's all 4 of them. Maybe it's 2 of them. It's probably not just one of them. In fact, I can guarantee you it's not going to be just one of them, because if it were just one, they would use the other style of question. But if it is 2 or more, then they don't always tell you. Sometimes they do, but they don't always tell you. So pay attention to the questions and review them before you submit them. All right, so that's the test out option. Let's talk about the in-course option. Okay, remember, this is the one where you take the exam while you are inside the course. So you're going to go through all of the training, answer all of the knowledge checks, and then once you're done with that, the next thing it'll prompt you to say, okay, you're ready to take the exam. Okay, so that's the in-course option. So with the in-course option, there is no indication of how many questions you will be asked. Before you enter the test, it will tell you how many questions there are on this particular exam. But once you're in it, it doesn't say. Remember how the test out option said 1 of 10. There is no similar thing. It doesn't say 1 of 5 or 1 of 15. It doesn't say that. So unless you remember before you enter, it'll tell you before you enter, this exam has 12 questions. And then you would have to pay attention, which one am I on, in order to know. There is also in the in-course option, no way to review your answers. So you answer the question, you go on to the next question. There's no way to go back. There's no way to review it. You just submitted that question. So make sure that you're sure of the question or you're sure of your answer before you go on to the next one. And I just said this, once you've submitted your answer, you can't go back and change it. So you want to make sure that you read every question very carefully before you go on to the next. Similar to the test out option, inside the course, it looks different if it's a single answer versus a multiple choice answer. So if it's a single answer, instead of having those letters in a circle, it'll just have the circles like this. Okay. And then instead of having the letters in a square, if there's multiple ones, then it will just have the square. Okay. But again, it doesn't tell you how many you need to check. You have to read the question carefully, know what you're doing, etc. All right. And then tip number 5 is get help. Okay. You might need help if you're overwhelmed by the huge amount of information in Intuit's training. If you are confused and can't wrap your head around some of the concepts. If you find the free training too long and boring, like some of the people we talked about in the very, very beginning. If you don't learn well from reading and prefer video-based hands-on practice, if you prefer a teacher to a textbook, if English is your second language or third or fourth, and if you have severe test anxiety and just don't test well. So these are the reasons why you might need to get help. And so if you need that help, then Akadian's ProAdvisor companion courses are here to help you. Each of the courses are fast. So each module takes about 40 minutes to complete, after which you'll feel confident and prepared to take that section of the QBO test. Okay. So the level 1 takes about 5 hours to get through. That's not including your test taking time. That's just the course material. Level 2 and payroll, I think, are about 5 or 6 hours. I mean, they're more advanced, so it's going to take a little bit longer. Okay. But still, you can get through it in a weekend and get your certification, whereas people who go through the Intuit training, often it takes them months and months to wade through all of the material. They're also easy. So we break down each lesson with a short video, quick notes workbook, a fun interactive review of the material, hands-on exercises in the sample company, and a practice quiz that is based on actual test questions. So with our materials, you're not just reading that Intuit material like you saw before. It's just reading a wall of words. You're not actually clicking and using the sample company, except for, a handful of those give it a shots. So our courses are just much more interactive than like reading a textbook. Our courses are crystal clear. We take the most challenging concepts in QBO and make them crystal clear with graphics, easy explanations, exercises to solidify the concepts. And we do it in exactly the way that you're expected to know the information for the test. And of course, it is guaranteed. We are so confident that you're going to get your certification using our course materials that we will give you your money back if you don't. So here's what people are saying about us. So Francis said, I highly recommend the ProAdvisor Level 1 for QuickBooks Online. After struggling through the materials on Intuit's website and failing the first module a couple of times, despite spending 30 years in corporate accounting, I decided I needed help and found the QBO Gym page on Facebook. So grateful to Margie and the team for creating the materials needed to help us ace the test. I will probably sign up for Level 2. Oh, and by the way, I passed the Level 1 certification this afternoon and now have my badge. Yay, Francis. Robert said, I'm an excellent test taker, but the teachings in QuickBooks were insufficient for me to pass the Level 1 certification test. With Akadian, it was really easy. And then he added later, by the way, I passed all the Level 1 courses after studying for 4 days with Akadian. Christy says, Margie and the Akadian team simplify complex bookkeeping concepts and make it easier and more fun to learn and remember. With multiple hands-on practice in different ways, video, written, drag and drop, all fun ways to make it easier to remember. I just took the Level 2 Advanced QBO exam with Margie's companion course and passed in less than half the time than the Level 1 on my own. I passed each of the 5 exams on the first go, such a time saver and a stress saver too. Robert said, Akadian really helps you to understand and cuts short the time you will spend giving you the very important information that will help you pass the exam. With Akadian, there is no way you will fail the exam. Thank you, Akadian, for making life easy. And finally, Bookkeeping in Las Vegas says, loved the training. It is laser focused on what you really need to know. And of course, that is just the tip of the iceberg. We have hundreds of testimonials, thousands of students that have gone through our courses. So if you would like our help, then you can get started today just by going to Akadian.com. And of course, the links are below. And I can't wait to hear your success story.